Welcome ladies and gents, eFootball just dropped patch 4.4 and after grinding through the golden goal event, testing squads, tactics and facing all kinds of players, I've locked in the best formation and tactic in the game right now. Whether you're climbing divisions or smashing events, this setup is going to give you the edge. Let me take you through the best formation and tactic in eFootball 4.4 right now, and then we'll talk about the key adjustments you need to make when facing different formations. First things first, make sure you're using a possession-based team playstyle manager. This is crucial. The tactic I'm about to show you thrives on short, smart passes and keeping control of the tempo. Now let's talk about the defense. You need two defensive fullbacks, and I mean fullbacks with high defensive stats, great positioning and solid aggression. Then go with two build-up centre backs. Trust me, I've tested destroyers back there in this patch and it's a disaster. They overcommit, leave gaps and get pulled out of shape far too easily. You're going to see that for yourself in this video. In front of them, you want your anchorman as your shield. Pick someone with good passing, interception and blocker player skills. His job is to shut down those dangerous through balls between your centre backs. Basically, plug that hole every opponent wants to exploit. Flanking your anchorman, you want two orchestrators. These guys need some defensive stats and skills, such as interception and blocker ideally, but most importantly, they need elite passing vision. So really high passing stats. They'll sit just ahead of your defensive midfielder, forming that beautiful triangle to build up and build out from the back. They help cover space and launch attacks. Now ahead of the double pivot comes your box-to-box midfielder. He does the dirty work and gets into the final third. So look for someone well-rounded. Next to him is your creative playmaker. Someone like Lionel Messi with exceptional dribbling and vision. This role is all about unlocking defenses, linking up and adding flair to your attack. But don't underestimate their defensive positioning as they will help out too, being a creative playmaker. Up top, there are only two roles you need. A goal poacher who pins the back line and looks for space in behind, and a deep lying forward who drops off, links with the midfield and creates room for your creative playmaker and box-to-box midfielder to burst into. These two playstyles complement each other perfectly, and I'll explain later how they counter different formations. In the next part of this video, I'll be breaking down how to adjust this setup based on the formation you're facing. Whether it's a 4-2-4, 4-3-3 or a 3-5-2, because just one or two tweaks makes all the difference. Stick around because mastering these changes is what separates casual wins from absolute domination. Our first opponent is running a classic 4-3-3 setup, wide forwards, central striker, and usually a midfield that plays possession or quick transitions. And here's how to shut it down. Start by applying man marking on both of his wide forwards, that's the right wing forward and left wing forward, or support striker if he's utilizing those in the wide areas, and assign your fullbacks to handle them directly. Then make sure you have defensive instructions that are switched on for both fullbacks. This locks them into a deeper position, stops them drifting too far forward, and keeps them in place to handle wide threats. Most 4-3-3 players rely heavily on their wide options to cut inside or stretch your back line, but this setup completely neutralizes that threat. And once they're forced to go central, your anchorman and two orchestrators in that midfield triangle does the rest. Easy possession win, and now you're ready to launch your own attack. Notice here how I'm manually selecting players and dragging them into passing lanes. First covering the wide option, then quickly switching to a midfielder to close the central gap. I call this the Great Wall of Spain. Just look at how compact and tough that midfield block is. It's not about constant pressure, it's about positioning and timing. If he plays the ball and my player is close enough, I'll apply a quick burst of pressure, then back off to cut the next passing lane. This is where the real interception happens, and this is where my man marking does its job. I regain possession and boom, we're already launching our attack. Play smart, stay compact, and let your structure do the work. That's how you frustrate your opponent and force them into mistakes. You can clearly see the numerical advantage in midfield. Just 4 quick passes and my box-to-box midfielder is driving at his back line. My goal poacher pins the defense, my creative playmaker offers support on the right, a smooth 1-2, a fake shot, and we're in. Clinical finish, and that's exactly how this system breaks down the 4-3-3. Next up is the 4-2-4, which seems to be everywhere since the 4.4 update. But honestly, this one's even easier to deal with. With only 2 midfielders, they get overrun fast, and that's exactly where we take control. Just like before, we set man marking on the wide players using your fullbacks, and make sure both have defensive instructions enabled. Once again, this locks down the wings, and with our midfield overload, they've got no space to build. It's just a matter of time before they lose the ball. One thing I will say is when you're facing a front two like Drogba and Mbappe, matchups matter. Baresi is small but quick, great for tracking Mbappe's pace. Beckenbauer's got the height and aerial strength, so he's better suited to handle Drogba's physicality. Always be smart with your defensive pairings. Match the right defender to the right striker and you'll shut them down before they even get started. He's got the right idea, attacking through the wide area, but I've got it well covered. A skilled defender with proper positioning should have no problem dealing with a decent dribbler, especially with no passing options available. And just like that, he's forced to run out of play. No space, no support, and no way through. So Lee Dixon picks up the ball here, and for some reason I managed to actually pass it to his one and only player in the way, but managed to recover the ball pretty quickly. A simple 1-2, and Messi's in. Play the ball through to Wilshere, but then I want to try and come back inside, but he reads that and intercepts. But there we go, my man marking applies that pressure. That was a horrific pass, by the way, leaving me really exposed here, but managed to win the ball back. Jack Wilshere into Bellingham, loses the ball again. I was playing really poorly in this instance, but there's the difference. That's why you have Beckenbauer on Drogba. He wins that header. Rodri now moves forward. Ball around the corner. Messi driving through, but he gets out muscled. But slowly we're just starting to turn the screw. I started growing into the game, and I started winning possession higher up the pitch. Wilshere again. Looking for those quick passes in and around the box. It's a little bit scrappier than it has to be because I just wasn't taking my time. That was a poor touch. But Rodri picks up the ball, has a crack, and it's a good save from the goalkeeper. And here I'm going to use my cheeky little corner technique. So I drag someone towards the corner kick taker, switch quickly to the guy at the near post, and then switch back to the person near the corner flag. And what that does, it makes him think that I'm going to still play it short, when in fact it's going long, and then I can easily adjust to flick the header on and get that shot off. Good aerial win that. Nice little flick around the corner. These 1-2s are absolutely killing him. Shevchenko, good effort on goal. Good pressure here, making him panic. Push the ball forward quickly, which is what you want, because your defensive fullbacks with that man marking, it's going to shut those wide areas down, and that's what a 4-2-4 player will always look for. And this is where I really get my groove on, because I'm passing to players behind the ball, and that makes far more sense. If I did that earlier, I'd have had more dominance in the game. But look at the high press of the possession team style, and that causes a lot of problems for your opponent. It's constant pressure. And then the little cut back, fired in off the post, beautiful goal, giving me the win. Initially, I thought this opponent was running a 4-4-2, which it looks like here. If your opponent isn't using a right wing forward, a left wing forward, or a support striker out in those wide areas, then you should remove defensive instructions from your fullbacks and absolutely do not use man marking in those wide areas. This frees up your fullbacks to support the build-up, cover the half spaces, and keep your shape balanced without being pinned too deep. Now we switched to a 4-5-1, likely trying to respond to the way I was going to dominate the midfield. I made a small mistake here. I brought in Tony Adams, a tall destroyer centre-back, thinking he'd handle Harry Kane better than Baresi in the air. But as you'll see, destroyers just don't work well in the back line in patch 4.4. They push out at the wrong time and break your shape way too easily. It was a tactical swap that made sense in theory, but in this version it leaves you exposed. Since he's stacked 5 in midfield, I made a smart adjustment, bringing in Roberto Baggio as a deep lying forward. Baggio drops deeper to support the midfield in the build-up, helping us play through the congestion. That movement creates space for my creative playmaker and box-to-box midfielder to time their runs and break into the box with real purpose. It's all about balance. Let the deep line forward connect the play, and the rest of the midfield will do the damage. He kicks off, but with some effective pressing, I force him to go long. And just like that, I mop up the knockdown without breaking a sweat. Look at the number of players I've got in that area. This is what happens when your shape and press are on point. It's calm, controlled, and we're straight back on the front foot. The deep lying forward drops off to link up with the creative playmaker, but he gets muscled off the ball. And here's where the problem starts. My destroyer centre back lets me down again. Instead of shuffling across the cover, he's still charging forward, completely unaware of the danger behind him. Luckily, my build-up defender reacts to the play, shuts it down, and we're back in control. We shift it out wide, work it to Baggio, and here it comes. The Rooney to Robin van Persie moment. Baggio lays off the ball, a perfect ball over the top, and it's volleyed in exquisitely. This is what happens when tactical awareness and timing come together. Absolute magic. Next up, a classic 3-5-2. No man marking or defensive instructions are needed here. I was tempted to bring on Baggio, but I needed someone to push the three centre backs back, so I held off and stuck with my goal poacher. He gives the ball away cheaply, and just look how easy it is. Even with 5 midfielders, my creative playmaker finds himself in the perfect pocket of space. A couple of sharp 1-2s between Shevchenko and Bellingham opens things up beautifully. And then it's over to Messi. His tight dribbling pulls defenders apart and creates the space to slot it home. Clinical. Even against 5 in midfield, it's all about positioning, quick interplay, and decision making. So there you have it. The best formation and tactic in eFootball 4.4 right now. Tested through the Golden Goal event against every kind of setup. The key, a possession-based manager, 2 defensive fullbacks, 2 build-up style defenders, a balanced midfield built on an anchorman and 2 orchestrators, a box-to-box midfielder and a creative playmaker. With the deep lying forward and a goal poacher up top, you can adapt on the fly, pull defenders out or stretch their back line with intelligent movement. Just be sure to avoid having destroyers at the back, because they're going to break your shape and they're going to cost you against smart players. Adjustments are simple. Man mark wide players who use right wing forward and left wing forward or support strikers. And if they're using right midfielders and left midfielders, then tick off those defensive instructions. And this will allow your fullbacks to fill in at the half spaces. They will also help with the build up. If this has helped, drop a like, subscribe, and let me know if you want to see this exact setup with a free-to-play squad. Trust me, the results will just be as dominant. It's not about the players, it's the method, the tactical awareness, and knowing how to take advantage of eFootball's 4.4 new mechanics. Master the meta, dominate the pitch, and I'll see you there.